today, I'd like to go over with you the evolution of Enkei Nage. So Enkei Nage is one of our signature movements in Seidokan. We seem to build a lot of movements around this small circle. As Kobayashi Sensei said in 1991 when he first came out to South Carolina to give a seminar, he says, some of you may be wondering what this silly little movement is, and then he went on to show us. But Kobayashi Sensei had been working on this movement for a long time, since 1968. So I want to give you a flavor for that and how the movement evolved and why it is central to what we do. So this movement comes from what we would call Tenkan Irimi. This is going to have a 360-degree circle in this direction and pretty much a 360 in this direction. Looks like this, Tenkan. Here. So he's got a good grip. We come down, up, and down. One, two. So it comes from the Sayu window, right? But remember, Sayu window looks like this. You say, why? This looks pretty strange. Remember, Sayu window is the end of this. So let's try this. This is how this was being done roughly in 1968 when Kobayashi Sensei, something happened to change the way he did this. But it's here, Tenkan. Turn, scoop up, come up, and across. Thank you. Right. So, that technique is difficult because we tend to come back too soon. We think, this is the throw, the yang, right? So, he's got me, and I'm leading him around, and we're going down, and then I decide, instead of complete the circle, and shift behind him. Well, what happened in 1968? Kobayashi Sensei was over in Japan for an extended period so he could train. In fact, he was turning professional at that time into Aikido. And so he was really enjoying his time over there. Unfortunately, he had an injury. He couldn't raise his arm after a shoulder injury much above his waist. Of course, if you only have a few months to practice, you're going to just keep practicing. So what would happen when he would practice? Well, this is a fairly common technique, right? So he would be here, dip, and so we just make a smaller circle at the end. That's the only difference. Here, 360, down. It's like he's scooping down. Instead of coming up, shifting and throwing, right? Position. Instead of coming up, shifting, he's just going to drop it down. Small circle. And of course, you do it the other way on the other side and say, how come it's easier on my bad arm? Because he wasn't having to raise up, come over, and do all that. So let's try this. It's 360 down. Turn 360 dip. Now it's not as spectacular of a fall. You sort of come and you fall. The other one you could take a break fall out of if you held on a lot, right? But it's more efficient. Shall we? Let me just remind you a few points on that one. He's got me here. A lot of people are moving this into his space. That's problematic. This stays alone. We're going to put ourselves beside him. And then the space opens up right here. Not much has to happen. He's here, I'm beside him. We did. This is a very smooth, small one. Now, what happened? Well, from 68, and at 74, Key Society started. Shinshin Tuitsu Kobayashi Sensei followed Koichi Toei Sensei. And continued to evolve. His arm recovered, and he went back to doing it this way, but then it stuck. Like efficiency. Efficiency is a good thing. So when I started in 1977, we had Sayu Undo, we had Sayu Choyaku Undo, and we had a version of Enkei, looked like this. So now you see how Enkei had changed a bit. Instead of going 360, he felt, well, it's pretty efficient. If he's right here, and I turn and dip, I can throw him right there. What's wrong with that? Right? So I come here, dip, dip. This is how I first learned Enkei. Notice I'm facing this direction. It's dip, dip. If you turn your hips, you'll get bigger. Hard for him to get bigger. But right? Because it comes back. But when I leave my hips down and continue the circle, it's okay. So let's try the state of the art in 1977. Height. Okay, so it's an elegant move. Now, let me go over a couple of points. Remember before, when we had to go 360, we had to move all the way in so that you could clear the space and turn. But you might have noticed that on this one, I'm not turning 360. So the tenkan wasn't as deep. It was about here. That way, when you dipped, you could have that kind of big effect. So you don't go in all the way, dip, because if I went in all the way, the dipping doesn't do anything by being out front. So my body's turning 180 degrees from this plane to this plane, but my arm is staying in the same circular plane.